Let's talk about sleep, baby. Let's talk about sleep. Let's talk about sleep today on the pod. We're going to be talking about sleep quality and how it's affected by alcohol and why people use alcohol to sleep, even though it actually ends up hurting their sleep quality in the end. And I'm going to bring out some scientific facts. I have a few articles pulled up ready to reference. And we're also going to talk about how incredible your sleep gets in sobriety. Wow. It's an adjustment, let me tell you. Those beginning few weeks, several weeks, were kind of weird with sleep, and we'll get into that. But eventually, you end up getting the most incredible sleep. Wow. I can't even believe that I used to wake up at 2 a.m. every single night for an hour or 2 hours. I mean, that was my routine. I would just be awake in the middle of the night for 1 or 2 hours when I was drinking really heavily. And now I never wake up unless my bladder is going to absolutely explode and I have to get up and go use the bathroom. But usually I sleep all through the night, every single night. It's wild. So let's get into it. Here we go. Welcome to Hold My Drink, a sobriety podcast. This is a no judgment zone. I really freaking like my life without alcohol. You're not alone. I hope you feel seen. Sobriety has changed my life completely. Let's kick it off with some facts from thesleepfoundation.org. They say that less than 2 drinks for men and less than 1 drink for women, so like a half glass of wine before bed, decreases the sleep quality by 9.3%. So low amounts of alcohol decreased sleep quality by 9.3%. That's still significant. Wow. For less than a half or less than a glass of wine. Sheesh. Okay. Moderate amounts of alcohol decreased the sleep quality by 24%. That's a lot. And that's said to be approximately 2 drinks for men and 1 drink for women. We know a lot of people in America, in the world, who have a glass of wine before bed, right? Wind down. Well, that decreases your sleep quality by 24%. And then for people like us, for people like me, who have high amounts of alcohol, decrease the sleep quality by 39.2%. And high amounts of alcohol on this chart is said to be more than 2 drinks for men and more than 1 drink for women. That's high amounts of alcohol. Wow. Okay, I was significantly higher than that. How about 5 glasses of wine? 6 glasses of wine? How much is that decreasing the sleep quality? Probably a lot. Okay, so there's just some fun little facts. So yes, alcohol decreases your sleep quality a lot. I was reading that the beginning of your sleep is that lighter sleep, non-rapid eye movement, I believe, NREM, and that's towards the beginning of your sleep. And what alcohol does is basically reduces the amount of REM sleep that you have, and that's that deeper sleep. So it'll leave you in that kind of light sleep where you're waking up a lot. You never fully get into that cycle, and it can really affect how you feel in the morning because you didn't get a good night's sleep. Even though alcohol is what a lot of us use or used to fall asleep. I fell asleep drinking every single night. Like, I would drink until I fell asleep on the couch. Alcohol would put me to sleep every night. And I thought that that was my routine. That's how I fell asleep. Little did I know I was ruining my sleep quality by doing that. Also, it was literally my routine to wake up at 2 a.m., almost on the dot every single night, and be awake from either 2 to 3 or 2 to 4, maybe 2 to 5 sometimes. And I got so in the routine that I embraced that I was awake during those hours. I would read, I would turn on a show, I would clean up a little from the night before. I was awake for those couple hours every night. Or I'd play on my phone, usually scrolling TikTok, let's be honest. But that was every single night. And I remember I even told my partner at the time, I wake up every night right at this time. That's just what I do. I know, so annoying, crazy. I don't know why that happens. Maybe it's because I had 10 drinks and passed out. But yeah, I was convinced that that was how I sleep. That was how my nights go. And there was nothing I could do about it. I just thought, yeah, that's what happens. And I didn't really mind it. I don't know. I'd wake up, I'd enjoy my quiet time, scrolling TikTok. I was fine, yeah. At the time, it didn't bother me that much. It was what it was. And I didn't even know that I had a sleep problem until I got sober. And then, oh my God, I was like, oh, this is how you're meant to be sleeping. Oh, I sleep like a baby. I literally sleep through the night every single night without question. Occasionally, I will drink a lot of water before bed and feel like my bladder is going to absolutely burst and I'll have to get up and go use the bathroom. But it's like, use the bathroom, get back into bed, and fall right back asleep. There's, I think, I can remember one time where I was awake in the middle of the night and I struggled to go back to sleep for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. One time. I have been sober for 8.5 months. And one night, I didn't have a good night's sleep. Imagine that. And that's, without outside factors. I have slept in New Orleans where it was so loud and so crazy and I was getting woken up multiple times per night, but those are, outside forces. I'm talking when I'm in my own bed, sleeping in a good environment, I have had one night of bad sleep in 8.5 months. Can you believe that? Maybe I should say 8 months because there is an adjustment period. Let's talk about the adjustment period. So, first of all, drinking heavily can cause insomnia for some people, but for a lot of people, the insomnia aspect comes once you quit drinking, because so many people used alcohol to fall asleep. And so when you get sober, a lot of people struggle with the insomnia right afterwards. It's a very common symptom. I've talked about this in a lot of my episodes, but when I first quit drinking, I got that jittery hyperactivity, like wanting to be productive at all hours. I got a lot of that, and my strategy was to just embrace it. So I would do arts and crafts or clean or exercise or make something like until the wee hours of the night, and I was so tired I had to go to sleep. And even then I'd probably fall asleep to a show. That helps a lot for me too. But anyway, a lot of people struggle with that insomnia aspect in early sobriety. It's hard because you've had this crutch. You've had alcohol literally tuck you into bed every single night for a long time. Like I said, I drank until I fell asleep. I didn't even make it to the bed. I drank until I passed out on the couch, and then around 2 a.m. when I woke up, I'd transfer to the bed, do my 2-hour TikTok scroll, and then sleep. Oh my God, what an awful routine. That's horrible. But yeah, that's what I did. And when you get sober, you don't have that crutch. It's kind of like alcohol is a sleeping pill almost. And imagine if you take a sleeping pill every single day. How are you supposed to fall asleep without a sleeping pill? Your body literally gets used to it. It's like, I don't get tired until this pill is in my body. That's kind of the same with alcohol. And when you get sober and you no longer have that thing that's putting you to bed every single night, you struggle to get in that zone of sleep. But I promise, actually, I don't promise because of course there's conditions, people have all sorts of different things going on. But in my situation, and for a lot of people that I have talked to, the sleep eventually evens itself out and you have the most incredible sleep ever. And you will not struggle with sleep issues anymore. Like I said, people have issues. There's always, something. But in comparison to how I was sleeping, the sleep I have now, it's like a miracle. It's incredible. And I try not to set alarms because I have this theory that we're seriously not supposed to interrupt our REM sleep, and we should wake up when our body wakes up and is at the end of a cycle. So I really try not to set alarms unless I really need to be up for something. But yeah, so I sleep 9 hours, complete my cycle, wake up so refreshed. Oh, it's just the best. And having good sleep seriously affects your entire life. And I know people say that all the time, and I never believed them until I experienced it myself. And sleep really does make a huge difference for your mental well-being throughout the day. Sleep is good, sleep is necessary, and sleep is kind of awesome if you're getting good sleep. Okay, so let's talk about in early sobriety when you have those jitters, restlessness, and you can't relax and can't get to sleep. First of all, been there. Oh my God. The beginning of sobriety was a little bit tough. I mean, that was an adjustment when it came to sleep and relaxation. One thing that was an instant fix for me was recess drinks. I talk about these all the time. They're an adaptogen drink with magnesium. So they calm you down. They relax you. You can't really overdo it on those. So when I was first sober, I would have 4 of them. or 5 of them. Now I occasionally have one, like maybe I'll have 3 in a month or something, when I am feeling a little antsy and just want to chill out a little bit. But don't freak out. They're not like some mushroom or THC drink or something like that. They are a natural adaptogen drink. But I use those only in the very beginning of sobriety just to kind of help me through that adjustment. I would also get a wine glass, put ice in it, put the recess drink in, and it kind of gave me that feeling of I'm winding down, I'm having my drink for the night. And whether or not the drinks actually work, I feel like they do, but even if it's just the placebo effect and it's just the idea of like pouring it into a wine glass and having that before bed that just makes you feel good. I mean, that's great too. And that helped me get in the relaxation mode when I had drinks in the evening every single night to put myself to sleep. This was kind of that same ritual, but with a healthier alternative. And eventually I didn't need those recess drinks or didn't want those recess drinks. Like, your body does neutralize and get to a good place eventually. But other than those drinks, I always say to just embrace the hyperactivity and the restlessness. Like, find a new hobby, bake stuff, do arts and crafts, start going to the gym at 9 p.m. Like, just embrace it because it doesn't last forever. And for me, like, I didn't want to deny what I was feeling. Like, I was feeling that I needed to be productive at all hours. Okay, I'll be productive at all hours. And it was kind of psychotic. I was living with my boyfriend at the time, and he would like think that I'm kind of cuckoo crazy bananas because he'd be sitting there watching a show, relaxing as humans do in the evening, and I would be like doing a coloring book and then doing some yard work in the dark and then building furniture and, finally being so tired that I pass out. But I would be doing stuff all the way until that point. And I don't think that's a problem. I think like embrace it. It can be frustrating because you're like, all I want to do is chill and I can't chill. Oh my God. Like, turning off your brain too is really hard in early sobriety because you just have so many thoughts and your brain's just going. You don't have alcohol to shut yourself up anymore. That's a big reason why I drank a lot. I experienced some ADHD symptoms. I'm not diagnosed or anything, but I do resonate with a lot of the ADHD symptoms. I don't feel I need to get a diagnosis. I'm not into all that personally, but I just resonate with some of the symptoms, and so I look up ways to deal with the symptoms, and I just go about it that way. But anyways, I believe that I was drinking to band-aid a lot of those ADHD symptoms, which, can be a lack of organization in your brain, thoughts all over the place, inability to focus on one thought. You're having 10 conversations in your head at once. And alcohol was the only thing that would quiet my brain. And I loved it because all throughout the day, my mind is going at 100 million miles an hour. Now, looking back, I know that my heavy drinking was kind of making those symptoms worse. But anyway, my mind's racing all day long. It's tiring. It's like debilitating how much your brain is going. Like, you can't turn it off and just focus on one thing, like watch a movie or write something and just sit there and focus on that one task. It's like there's always so much going on in your head. When you're having a conversation with somebody, you have 5 tabs open in your brain and you already know what they're going to say before they say it. I would interrupt people a lot. I would get frustrated waiting for the end of the story when I already know what the end of the story is going to be. And alcohol calmed me and made me what felt like a normal person when I was drinking, where I had the patience to listen to somebody's full story without predicting the ending. It made me able to sit there and just like veg out on a movie and not be thinking about 100 different things while watching this film. Like, when I still do this sometimes. But for a while, when I would watch movies and TV shows, I would either have the notes app on my phone just open and ready to go, or I would have a notepad sitting next to me because during a movie, so many thoughts crossed my brain. And it became so frustrating trying to like remember all the thoughts that I had that a strategy I moved forward with was just writing down every thought that came into my mind so that I could look back on it later and I didn't have to obsess over all the thoughts during the movie. gosh, I mean, yeah, I still deal with some of those symptoms, as a lot of us do, of course. But I deal with a lot less now that alcohol is out of my life. We use alcohol as kind of a Band-Aid to cover up issues, but for a lot of different things, alcohol is actually making it worse in the long run. And I believe that with those kind of ADHD symptoms. Alcohol would Band-Aid fix it. I'd feel better. My mind would shut up finally. It's been going all day long and I have my first Coors Light and finally my brain is quiet. Oh my God, it was amazing. But then the next day, I think those hyperactivity thoughts were even worse because I had drank to cover it up the night before, if that makes sense. Like, my symptoms are a lot more manageable now that I don't drink. So, wow, tangent. That was a different topic. I was going to make a whole episode about that. But we are talking about sleep. Oh, yes. So that's what it was. Strategies for dealing with the restlessness. The recess drinks are great. Embracing the productivity and the hyperactivity is great. It's temporary, so just enjoy it. I always say in early sobriety, just listen to your body. If you're having sugar cravings, go ahead and have the sugar. If you are feeling like your mind is racing and you need to do 100 different things and you want to be doing something with your hands because you're jittery and going crazy, embrace it, do it. The withdrawal symptoms, the non-serious withdrawal symptoms, I should say, go get help from a doctor if you're experiencing significant withdrawals. But the more manageable, small withdrawal symptoms that I'm describing, just embrace them and deal with them because they're going to go away pretty quickly. So whatever you're feeling, just recognize, okay, this is only temporary. Don't freak out about it. It's all going to be okay. And just deal with it as best as you can. So I was really productive and embraced the hyperactivity. I had the recess drinks, and then other strategies to relax was writing down all my thoughts. I mentioned that I would write down my thoughts during the movies that I would watch, during the TV shows. That helps, but also having a notepad by your bed before you go to sleep is really helpful, because I know that me personally, when I get tucked into bed, even now, that is when my mind decides to frickin' race. I'm thinking about everything I got to do tomorrow. I'm thinking about all the different things I said that day, what I have to say tomorrow. I have to respond to that email. Where's my passport? Like, your mind just goes wild right before bed, or at least mine does. And so having your notes app on your phone, or like I have this little notes tablet from Remarkable. It's expensive though, so, you can also get a regular basic notepad and a pen to have by your bed, and just write down your thoughts. Lists are everything for emptying your brain. And I think the only way to relax is to empty your brain, which is why we used to drink, to empty our brains so that we could sleep. It all makes sense, right? It all makes sense. Even for the grocery store, always write a list so that you don't have to think about it. You know that it's on that list. So I'm not going to be obsessing about my grocery trip all day long because I already have it written down and done. There's nothing left to think about. When you write down all your thoughts before bed, you're going to wake up and have access to that list, and you don't need to stress about it that night anymore. Everything that you have to do the next day is written on that list. So there's no need to obsess and worry. You have it all written down and you're good. Lists are everything. Have a list for literally everything. In the beginning of my sobriety, I used to write down, now this is kind of pathetic, but it worked for me. So if it works for me, maybe it'll work for you. I wrote down 7:30 a.m., wake up. 7:37, make coffee. 7:40, use the bathroom. 7:43, grab the coffee, and so on. Get in the shower, brush my hair, do my makeup. Because then I knew that when I woke up, I did not have to think at all. So I could actually go to sleep. That's how I relaxed, was knowing that I had everything ready to go for the next day, if that makes sense. That's how I quiet my brain now. And lists and writing things down are a lot more healthy than having 10 beers to quiet your mind. And then with alcohol, you're just like smoothing over those thoughts. I mean, you're not even actually getting to the root of it. You're just pushing it back a little bit. Like if you have all those thoughts racing in your mind and you just drink to shut them up, you didn't ever address the thoughts. And so you wake up, and that's why we're so stressed and anxious in the morning, is because we drank away all our problems the night before. Whereas if we use the list method and we write down all of our thoughts, everything we have to do the next day, everything that's running through our mind, we actually addressed the kind of anxiety. And we can now peacefully go to sleep, have sweet dreams, have a great sleep, and then wake up and look at that list and instantly feel relieved. Like, I know exactly what I have to do today because I wrote it all down the day before. So lists, embracing the productivity, and those recess drinks are great strategies for dealing with the kind of insomnia that can come in early sobriety and not being able to sleep. Again, it's only temporary, and I hope that you find comfort in that because it gets so much better. Wow, it gets incredible. So just think to yourself, like, this is only temporary, push through it, listen to podcast episodes about this topic. There's a lot of research out there about alcohol and brain health, alcohol and sleep, and just continue to learn and find comfort in the fact that it's only temporary. The sleep gets so good in sobriety. I feel like I've like cracked the code to life because people complain about their sleep all the time. Oh, I can't get to sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night. I wake up exhausted. Like, I have cracked the code for good sleep. It's sobriety. It's getting to bed early so that you can wake up naturally at the end of a sleep cycle and not have to set an alarm. I have the luxury of doing that because I make my own schedule, but some people who have to be up at a certain time, I get that, and you got to work with what you got. But once you feel like you have cracked the code of sleep, it's like a superpower. And kind of an ego boost, to be honest. Like, I don't have that problem with sleep that a lot of people have. And sobriety is a big reason that I've been able to accomplish that. And it feels really good. I wake up and I only drink coffee because I like it. I don't drink it because I need it. I wake up so refreshed. I don't need coffee, need caffeine. I'm just refreshed. Not to brag, but it's fantastic. And you can probably, unless you have some deep issues inside that you need to address with a professional, you can probably experience it too in sobriety after the adjustment period. It's great. You're going to love it. Sleep well. And I will see you for the next episode. Bye.